They said goodbye, used words that were clear, or created distance that was unambiguous, or deployed patterns that made continuation impossible. However they communicated it, the message was final. This is ending. We're done. I can't give you what you need. I need to be alone. This isn't working. Goodbye. And in that moment, the moment of the goodbye, they meant it. Genuinely meant it. Weren't playing games or testing you or creating strategic distance they expected you to refuse. They meant goodbye. Their nervous system was overwhelmed by the intimacy. Their wounds were triggered by the closeness. Their defended self needed escape from the vulnerability that loving you required. The goodbye was real. Was them choosing their defended comfort over the relationship with you. Was them prioritizing their need for emotional safety over your need for partnership. Was them walking away from something that felt too threatening to their wounded system, even though some part of them recognized what they were walking away from was valuable. They said goodbye and they meant it, and they expected specific response from you, expected you to fight for the relationship, expected you to refuse the goodbye, expected pursuit, pleading, negotiation, expected you to prove through your refusal to accept the ending that you need them too much to let them go. Expected the goodbye to be beginning of you trying harder to convince them to stay. Expected drama, emotion, desperate attempts to change their mind. This expectation was based on pattern, based on how you'd behaved throughout relationship when they created distance. You'd always pursued, always tried to close gaps they created, always refused to accept their withdrawal as permanent. The pattern taught them, you won't accept goodbye. You'll fight it. You'll keep trying. But then you did something that inverted their entire understanding of the dynamic, something their defended psychology wasn't prepared for, something that changed everything. You accepted the goodbye, completely, without fighting, without pleading, without trying to change their mind. Okay, I understand. I wish you well. Goodbye. And then you actually left, actually honored their stated desire for ending, actually treated goodbye as real ending instead of as negotiation tactic. Your acceptance did something they never expected, something that contradicts everything their defended system predicts about how people respond when they're rejected. Your acceptance made them finally love you, not because acceptance is manipulation tactic that makes avoidance want you, because acceptance is the only thing that creates the specific conditions where avoidance defended system can finally allow love that was always there, but always defended against. Understanding why accepting goodbye is what makes them finally love you reveals something crucial about avoidant psychology and about why all you're pursuing during relationship prevented the love that you're leaving finally allowed. The 3 psychological shifts that happen. In the avoidant, when you accept goodbye, why acceptance creates love. That pursuit prevented. The avoidance response to your acceptance of goodbye isn't simple missing or regret. It's fundamental psychological transformation that makes love possible for first time. Shift 1. Your acceptance eliminates their need to defend against you. They can finally feel love when love no longer requires them to be vulnerable. Throughout relationship, they had to defend against you, had to defend against your love, had to defend against the intimacy you were creating, had to defend against the vulnerability that loving you back would require. Your presence demanded response. Your love created pressure to reciprocate. Your pursuit required them to decide whether to let you close or push you away. All of this created defended position, when they couldn't love you openly, because loving you openly would require dropping defenses that felt necessary for survival. The defenses protected them from the terror of being vulnerable, from the risk of being abandoned if they let you matter, from the pain of potential rejection if they opened their heart. As long as you were there, present, pursuing, loving them, they had to defend, had to maintain walls, had to resist the intimacy you were offering because accepting it felt too dangerous. But your acceptance of goodbye changes everything. You're gone. You're not pursuing. You're not creating pressure for intimacy. You're not demanding vulnerability. There's nothing to defend against anymore. And with nothing to defend against, the defenses can finally lower, can finally drop enough that they can feel what was always underneath the defending. They loved you, always loved you, were always feeling the love, but couldn't let themselves feel it, because feeling it would require vulnerability they couldn't access while you were there demanding response. Now you're gone. The demand is removed. The pressure is eliminated. The need to defend is gone. And in the absence of need to defend, they can finally feel the love, can finally let themselves recognize what you were to them, can finally acknowledge what they always felt but couldn't admit while admitting it would have required them to be vulnerable with you. Your acceptance of goodbye is what makes their love accessible to them. Not because acceptance created the love. Love was always there. And because acceptance eliminated the conditions that made defending against love necessary. Shift 2. Your absence proves you're safe to love because you can't abandon them if you're already gone, eliminating their core wound trigger. The avoidance core wound is abandonment. Early experience taught them, love people and they leave. Depend on people and they abandon you. Let people matter and they destroy you by going away. This wound makes loving anyone feel dangerous, makes vulnerability feel like setting yourself up for inevitable abandonment, makes allowing someone to matter feel like guaranteeing they'll hurt you by leaving. Throughout relationship, loving you felt dangerous because loving you meant you mattered enough to hurt them by leaving, meant you had power to abandon them, meant opening their heart to you created vulnerability to the abandonment wound being triggered if you left. This danger is what kept them defended, kept them from loving you openly, kept them maintaining distance that would protect them if you abandoned them. But your acceptance of goodbye changes the equation. You left, already gone. The abandonment they feared already happened, and it happened because they said goodbye, because they initiated the ending. This creates bizarre psychological safety. They can love you now because you can't abandon them anymore. You're already gone. You already left. The worst thing, the thing their wound made them terrified of, already occurred. And it occurred on their terms, through their choice to say goodbye. There's no future abandonment to fear because the abandonment already happened. This eliminates the core trigger, makes loving you safe for first time. They can feel the love without fearing the abandonment because the abandonment is already complete. You're gone. You can't leave them because you already left. The absence makes you safe to love in ways your presence never was safe. Your presence always carried threat of future abandonment. Your absence carries no threat because abandonment is past tense, not future risk. Shift. 3. Your acceptance proves your love was real, and real love is what their wounded self has been seeking while their defended self was rejecting it. Throughout relationship, part of them doubted your love, doubted it was real, doubted it would last, doubted you'd stay if you really knew them. The doubt made them test you, made them push you away to see if you'd pursue, made them create distance to see if you'd bridge it, made them behave badly to see if you'd stay, despite bad behavior. The testing was their wounded self trying to prove the love wasn't real. Because if love isn't real, losing it won't hurt. But every time you pursued, every time you bridged distance, every time you stayed, despite bad behavior, the testing continued. Why? Because pursuing when pushed proves you need them, not that you love them. Bridging distance when they create it proves you're willing to chase, not that love is secure. Staying despite bad behavior proves you tolerate poor treatment, not that love is unconditional. None of the testing could prove love was real because all the responses to testing could be explained by your need, your desperation, your inability to leave. But accepting goodbye as different test result is proof that your pursuing was never about need, was about love. Because if you needed them, you wouldn't accept goodbye. You'd fight it. You'd refuse to leave. You'd be desperate to stay. But you accepted, calmly, with dignity, without desperation. This acceptance proves you loved them, but you didn't need them. You wanted the relationship, but you could leave when it didn't serve you. You cared deeply, but you cared for yourself more. This proof that your love was real love based on genuine caring, rather than desperate need, is what their wounded self has been seeking all along. Real love. Love that's strong enough to leave when staying causes harm. Love that's genuine enough to accept goodbye instead of desperately clinging. Your acceptance proves your love was the real thing. And real love is what they've always wanted, even while their defended self was pushing it away. Your accepting goodbye and leaving proves you had the real thing, and proving you had real thing makes them finally able to receive it, except you're gone. The love they can finally feel and recognize and receive is love from a person who's no longer there to give it. Why you're pursuing during relationship prevented the love that you're leaving finally allows. Understanding why the dynamic during a relationship prevented love helps explain why the love only becomes accessible after you're gone, and why this isn't your failure but their limitation. Your pursuing triggered their defended system. Every time you reached for them, their nervous system interpreted it as threat requiring defense. When you pursued during relationship, reached out first, initiated intimacy, tried to close distance, their nervous system read it as threat. Not consciously, not with full awareness that they were experiencing your love as danger, but automatically. Your reaching toward them triggered their defended response, made them want to pull back, made them feel smothered or trapped or pressured, made intimacy feel threatening rather than connecting. This wasn't about you pursuing wrong way, or too much, or too intensely. This was about their wounded nervous system interpreting any reaching toward as danger, interpreting intimacy as threat, interpreting your love as something that would hurt them. The more you pursued, the more they defended. The more you reached, the more they pulled away. The pursuing that should have brought you closer actually created distance because pursuing triggered the defended response. You couldn't win, couldn't pursue in right way that wouldn't trigger defending, because the triggering wasn't about how you pursued, was about their system reading all pursuit as threat. Your pursuing prevented love from being felt or expressed because pursuing kept them in defended state where love can't be accessed. They were too busy defending against your pursuit to feel the love underneath the defending. Your presence required response, and requiring response meant they couldn't choose freely, which made choosing feel like trap rather than gift. As long as you were there, you required response, required them to decide whether to let you close or push you away, required them to choose whether to reciprocate your love or reject it, required them to engage with the relationship in ways that demanded ongoing choice. The requiring created pressure. Made choice feel like obligation. Made reciprocating feel like trap. The avoidant needs to feel free to choose. Needs to feel choice is voluntary, not demanded. Needs to feel they're choosing relationship rather than being required to choose it by your presence demanding response. But your presence did demand response, did create pressure, did make choice feel obligatory rather than free. This pressure is what made them feel trapped, what made loving you feel like losing freedom, what made the relationship feel suffocating even when objectively you were giving them space. And the presence itself was pressure, because presence required ongoing choice about how to respond. Your absence eliminates this pressure, eliminates requirement for response, eliminates the feeling of being trapped by having to choose how to engage with your presence. Now they can choose to love you freely, because choosing to love you when you're gone doesn't require anything from them, doesn't trap them in ongoing decision-making about how to respond to your presence. The free choice to love you when you're absent is what allows the love. The required choice to respond to you when you're present is what prevented the love. Your availability made you safe to take for granted, but taking for granted prevented recognizing value that's only visible when lost. Throughout relationship, you were available, consistently available. Your availability was gift, was you showing up, being present, being there for them. But availability has dark side for avoidant. Makes you safe to take for granted, makes you feel guaranteed, makes your presence feel like permanent feature they don't have to appreciate because it's always going to be there. This taking for granted prevented them from recognizing your value, from seeing what you were actually providing, from understanding what your presence meant. The value was invisible because presence was consistent. They couldn't see what you were because you were always there. But your absence makes value visible, makes them see through losing what they couldn't see through having, makes them recognize what you provided through experiencing the void where your provision used to be. Your accepting goodbye and leaving made your value visible for first time, made them recognize what they had through experiencing what they lost, made them see you clearly for first time because seeing you required you being gone. This is tragedy. The value that could have been appreciated while you were present is only recognized after you're absent. The love that could have been given while you were available is only felt after you're unavailable. Your availability prevented recognition. Your absence created recognition. The love comes too late because recognition only arrives after you're gone. The uncomfortable mirror. Turn why you wanting to know. They finally love you. Reveals you're not actually done. But examine why you're reading this. Why you need to know that accepting goodbye makes them finally love you. Why the idea that they love you after you're gone holds appeal for you. Because if you've genuinely moved on, if you're genuinely building life without them, if you're genuinely choosing yourself, whether they love you now or never loved you at all, should be completely irrelevant to you. You shouldn't care if accepting goodbye made them love you. Shouldn't need to know they finally feel what they couldn't feel during relationship. Shouldn't want confirmation that leaving made them recognize your value. The fact that they're finally loving you matters to you, reveals you're still oriented toward them, still needing their love to validate your worth, still hoping that them finally loving you means they'll come back worthy of you, still using their belated recognition of your value as measure of your significance. This orientation means you haven't actually accepted the goodbye for yourself. You've accepted it as strategy, as way to make them love you, as manipulation tactic designed to trigger their love through your absence. Real acceptance means you accepted goodbye because staying was harming you and leaving was choosing yourself, not because leaving would make them love you, not because absence would make them recognize your value, because continuing in relationship that wasn't serving you was betraying yourself, and accepting goodbye was honoring yourself. Your acceptance should be about you, about your choice, about your healing, not about whether acceptance makes them finally love you. Stop needing their love, belated or otherwise. Stop caring whether they recognize your value. Stop tracking whether your absence created their love. None of their internal experience of losing you should matter to you if you've actually moved on. Move on actually, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, completely. Accept goodbye for yourself, not for the love your absence might create in them. Their love is irrelevant to your healing. Your choosing yourself is what matters. Choose it completely. Stop tracking whether they love you now. Start building life where their love or lack of love becomes background noise you don't even register. What finally loving you actually means and why it's too late, even though it's real. The avoidance love after you accept goodbye is genuine, but understanding what this love actually consists of and why it doesn't mean what you might hope it means protects you from mistaking their crisis for their capacity. And the love is real, but it's love of ghost. They love the idealized memory of you, not the actual person you were during relationship. What they're loving after you accept goodbye isn't you as you actually were, is you as they're remembering you now that you're gone, is idealized version. Version where all your exceptional qualities are visible and all the ways you challenge their defended position are forgotten. They remember your patience, but forget that your patience was coupled with needs they couldn't meet. Remember your understanding, but forget that your understanding came with a requirement that they eventually work on themselves. Remember your love, but forget that your love asked for reciprocation they couldn't provide. The you they love is curated memory, is best parts without the challenging parts, is ghost of relationship without the reality of relationship. They love this ghost intensely, feel it deeply, but the ghost isn't you, is version of you that never existed, version that had all your gifts without any needs, all your exceptional qualities without any requirements, all your love without any expectation of reciprocity. They can love the ghost because ghost doesn't challenge them, doesn't trigger their defenses, doesn't require vulnerability. Ghost is safe to love because ghost is memory they control, rather than person who had needs they'd have to meet. The love is mixed with relief. They love you most intensely now that loving you doesn't require them to show up for you. Part of what makes the love so intense after you accept goodbye is the relief mixed in. Relief that they can feel the love without having to act on it, can recognize your value without having to honor it through changed behavior, can acknowledge what you meant to them without having to do the work of being partner worthy of what you were providing. The love is intense, partly because it's safe. Safe to feel, because feeling it doesn't require them to be vulnerable. Safe to acknowledge, because acknowledging it doesn't require them to transform. Safe to experience, because experiencing it doesn't demand any response or change behavior. This safety, the safety of loving someone who's gone so loving them creates no demands, is what makes the love feel so overwhelming. It's not that you became more valuable after you left. It's that valuing you became safe after you left. And the intensity of the love is partly the intensity of relief that they can finally feel it without it requiring anything from them. They love you most when loving you costs them nothing. When loving you is just feeling, rather than being relationship that demands their transformation. The love doesn't mean they're capable of relationship with you. Capacity and feeling are separate, and feeling love when you're gone doesn't create capacity to sustain love if you return. This is crucial distinction. They love you, really love you. The feeling is genuine. And the feeling doesn't mean they're capable of relationship with you. Feeling love when you're absent, when loving you, creates no demands, triggers no defenses, requires no vulnerability, is completely different from sustaining love when you're present, when your presence creates demands, when intimacy triggers defenses, when love requires ongoing vulnerability. They can feel the love when you're gone. Doesn't mean they could sustain the love if you returned. Because sustaining love requires capacity. Their feeling love doesn't prove they have. Requires ability to be vulnerable consistently. Requires capacity to meet partners' needs. Requires willingness to do uncomfortable transformation work. Requires all the things they couldn't do during relationship. The love they feel now doesn't create these capacities. Just proves that loving you was never the problem. Being capable of partnership with you was the problem. They always loved you, even while pushing you away, even while being emotionally unavailable, even while destroying relationship through their patterns. The love existed alongside the incapacity, and the love after you're gone still exists alongside the incapacity. Feeling the love doesn't mean the incapacity has transformed. Means only that they can finally feel what was always there, but always defended against. The feeling is real. The incapacity is also real. Both coexist. The feeling doesn't eliminate the incapacity. The cruel truth about why their love arrives when it can no longer benefit you. The timing of the avoidance love, arriving after you've accepted goodbye and left, reveals something important about their psychology and about why the love that comes too late is actually appropriate rather than tragic. They needed you gone to feel safe enough to love you, which proves relationship with them would always require your absence to be comfortable for them. Think about what the timing reveals. They can love you when you're gone. Couldn't love you when you were present. What does this tell you about what relationship with them would be? Would be relationship where they're most capable of loving you when you're not there, where intimacy works best when you're absent, where they can give you emotionally what you need only when giving it doesn't require ongoing presence and vulnerability. This is recipe for relationship that can't function. Relationship requires presence, requires ongoing intimacy, requires sustained vulnerability, requires loving someone while they're there, not just after they've left. The fact that they love you most when you're gone proves they're not capable of relationship that would serve you. Proves the conditions that allow their love, your absence, are conditions that prevent relationship. You can't be in relationship with someone who needs you gone to love you. The timing of their love isn't cruel accident, is revealing their fundamental limitation, is proving that relationship with them would require your ongoing sacrifice because they can only love you under conditions, your absence, that prevent actual partnership. The love would disappear if you returned, because your return would recreate the conditions that made loving you feel threatening. Let's say you returned. Let's say their love seemed so genuine, you decided to give them another chance. What would happen? Your presence would return. With your presence, the demands return, the intimacy returns, the triggers return, the need to be vulnerable returns. All the conditions that made loving you feel threatening during relationship would return. And with those conditions returning, the defended position would return. The defenses would rise. The love would become inaccessible again. Not because they're being manipulative, because their nervous system would go back into defended mode in response to your presence creating the same triggers it created before. The love that's so clear and intense while you're gone would become muddied and defended again the moment you returned. Because the love isn't based on their transformed capacity, is based on your absence creating safety for the feeling, Remove the absence by returning. Lose the safety that allows the feeling. The love is dependent on conditions. Your absence, that can't be maintained if you want actual relationship. The love would disappear upon your return because your return eliminates the condition the love depends on. And they're loving you now because loss is permanent. Temporary loss wouldn't create this intensity because temporary maintains hope of restoration. Part of why the love is so intense now is because the loss feels permanent. You accepted goodbye completely. You're gone in ways that feel irreversible. This permanence is what allows the full intensity of the love. Temporary loss wouldn't create this. Temporary loss maintains hope. Hope they could get you back. Hope the goodbye isn't really goodbye. Hope you'll return eventually. Hope prevents the full experience of loss, prevents the full recognition of value, prevents the intensity of love that comes with understanding something is truly gone. But you accepting goodbye and staying gone makes loss feel permanent, makes them believe they can't get you back. And permanent loss is what creates the intensity. They can love you fully because they believe fully that you're gone. The belief in permanence is what allows the feeling. If they believed you might return, the defended position would prevent full feeling because potential return would create potential vulnerability. Permanent loss creates no vulnerability because there's no future with you to protect themselves from. This reveals something important. Their love requires your permanent absence, requires believing they can't have you, requires the safety of complete loss. The love that requires permanent loss to exist is love that can't function in actual relationship, is love that's only accessible under conditions, your permanent unavailability, that prevent the love from ever benefiting you. Why accepting goodbye was right. Choice. Even though it created their love, understanding that your acceptance created their love helps you see why maintaining your absence despite their love is essential for your well-being and potentially for their growth. Their loving you doesn't create your obligation to return. You accepted goodbye for your healing, not to manufacture their love through your absence. You accepted goodbye because staying was harming you, because relationship wasn't serving you, because choosing yourself required leaving someone who couldn't meet your needs. The acceptance was about you, about your choice, about your well-being, not about creating conditions where they'd finally love you. Their love arising from your acceptance doesn't change why you accepted, doesn't obligate you to return, because the love you wanted finally appeared. The love appeared under conditions, your absence, that prove relationship still can't work. You wanted love during relationship, wanted them to love you while present and capable of receiving that love through partnership. They couldn't provide it. Now they're providing it, but providing it under conditions that prevent you from receiving it in context of relationship. The love doesn't create obligation, doesn't mean you should return, doesn't change the fact that accepting goodbye was right choice for your healing. They love you now, and you staying gone is still right choice. Both can be true. Their love doesn't override your need to stay gone from relationship that wasn't serving you. Returning because they finally love you would teach them that leaving works. Establishing pattern where abandonment produces the love pursuit couldn't produce. If you return because they finally love you after you accepted goodbye, you teach dangerous lesson. You teach them to get your love, they need to lose you first. To trigger your return, they need to let you leave. To produce the intensity of connection they want, they need to create the distance of goodbye. This teaching establishes pattern. Pattern where abandonment works better than presence, where loss produces what partnership couldn't produce, where they get what they want through letting you go, rather than through showing up while you're there. This pattern serves neither of you. Doesn't serve you because it means future relationship would be characterized by cycles of abandonment and return. Doesn't serve them because it prevents them from learning that presence and partnership are what creates sustainable love. They need to learn that loving someone requires loving them while they're present, requires sustaining intimacy, not just feeling it in crisis of loss. Your returning because they finally love you prevents this learning, teaches instead that crisis of loss is what produces the feelings they couldn't access during partnership. Don't teach this lesson. Maintain your absence despite their love. Let them learn that love after loss is too late, that love needs to be present during relationship to create relationship worth staying in. And the love proves you are always worthy. Use this knowledge to find someone who recognizes worth while having access to it, not someone who only recognizes it after destroying it. They love you now. This proves something important. You are always worthy of love, always valuable, always deserving of the recognition you're getting now. The problem was never your worth, was their capacity to recognize worth while having access to it. Their defended system prevented recognition during relationship. Your absence allows recognition after relationship. But you deserve someone who can recognize your worth while having you, who can see your value while in partnership with you, who can love you while present, not just after you're gone. The avoidance finally loving you proves you're lovable, proves you are providing something valuable, proves you deserve the recognition you're getting now. Use this proof, not to return to person who needed you gone to recognize you, to find person who can recognize you while you're present, to build relationship with someone whose capacity matches their feeling, who can love you while having you, not just while losing you. You deserve real-time recognition, deserve someone who sees your value while accessing it, deserve partnership where love is present during relationship, not just after relationship ends. The avoidance finally loving you is evidence you deserve this. Don't accept the love that comes too late. Use the proof of your worthiness to find love that comes while you're there to receive it in context of actual partnership. The final truth about what happens when you accept the avoidance goodbye. You accept goodbye. You leave. You honor their stated desire for ending. You treat goodbye as real instead of as negotiation tactic. And your acceptance creates the specific conditions where they finally love you, finally feel it, finally recognize it, finally acknowledge it. The love is real, is genuine, is intense, and is completely useless to you because it's love that only exists under conditions. Your absence that prevent it from ever benefiting you in context of relationship. They love you when you're gone. Couldn't love you when you were present. This reveals they're not capable of the relationship you need. Need relationship where love is present during partnership, where recognition happens while you're there, where value is seen while you're providing it. Not relationship where love only becomes accessible after you've left, and the timing of their love is revealing their limitation, is proving they can feel but can't sustain. Can recognize but only after destroying, can love but only under conditions that prevent relationship. This limitation is why accepting goodbye was right choice. Why staying gone despite their love is continuing to choose yourself. Why they're finally loving you doesn't change anything about the fundamental truth. Relationship with them doesn't serve you because relationship with them would require your ongoing presence. And your presence is what prevents them from accessing the love. Let them love you. Let the love be real and intense and genuine. Let them feel everything they couldn't feel during relationship. and stay gone. Stay in your own life that doesn't include them. Stay building in the freedom that accepting goodbye created. Their love is their experience. Your freedom is yours. Both are real. Both are happening. Only one serves your thriving. You already know which one. They finally love you because you accepted goodbye. Beautiful, tragic, irrelevant to your forward movement. The love that comes after you're gone is love that proves you deserved better than what you got while you were present. Use this proof, not to return to love that only exists in your absence, to find love that exists in your presence, to build partnership with someone who can love you while having you. That's what you deserve. That's what accepting goodbye freed you to find. They finally love you now that you're gone, and you're finally free of relationship where being gone is prerequisite for being loved. Both are true. Only one matters to your future. Choose the freedom. Keep choosing it. That's the answer to their finally loving you after you accepted goodbye. Not returning to love that requires your absence. Building forward into love that celebrates your presence. That's the life accepting goodbye created space for. Live it completely.